All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're exploring a concept that feels like it's pulled straight from the future, but it's actually grounded in some really fascinating physics and data science. We're going to tackle a wild idea. What if you could map not just a place, but a place throughout its entire history? What if you could map space-time itself?
So that brings us to the big question, right? How do you even begin to draw a map of time? I mean, we're all used to maps of cities, of countries, even of the stars. But what would a map look like if it showed you a city's past, its present, and all of its possible futures, all at once?
Okay, to really get our heads around this, let's put it side by side with a regular map. Your typical map tells you where something is. That's your X, Y, and Z coordinates. It's basically a snapshot, frozen in time. But a 4D space-time map, it adds that fourth dimension, T for time. And boom, suddenly its purpose isn't just showing a static location. It's about revealing a dynamic history, the entire flow of events.
So what would a map like this even look like? Well, first things first, we need a container, right? A frame to hold this new kind of picture. And that frame is something called a tesseract, or a hypercube. Now, don't let the name scare you. The easiest way to think about it is this. Just like a 2D drawing can give you the illusion of a 3D object, this 3D cube acts as our window, our interface for a 4D reality.
And here's where the real magic happens. The cube itself holds all the spatial data you'd expect, the streets, the buildings, all the geography. But the internal layers, those are the key. Think of them as transparent sheets stacked on top of each other, where each sheet is a different moment in time. It's like having the entire history of a place bound together in one single volume.
Okay, so we've got the frame. Now let's peek inside and look at the incredible data it's visualizing.
Right there in the middle, you see this beautiful, glowing, almost organic-looking cloud. And no, that's not just some cool screensaver. That is the very heart of the map. It's a visual representation of the flow and the intensity of events happening across the entire timeline.
There's a fantastic term for this, temporal density. It's pretty simple, actually. The brighter or hotter the color, the more stuff is happening at that specific point in space-time. And those color gradients, shifting from cool blues to warm reds, they literally show you the direction of time's arrow flowing from past events into what's happening next.
And check this out, it's such a brilliant way to see cause and effect. Think about it like dropping a pebble into a still pond. A single event happens, right there. But its impact doesn't just stay put. It ripples out through time, and these expanding rings show you exactly how that influence spreads, affecting everything that comes after.
Now, shift your focus to the corners of the cube. See those donut-shaped things floating there? Those aren't just random decorations. They are incredibly sophisticated data hubs, and each one has a very specific job. They're called toroidal data nodes. You can think of them as dedicated little monitoring stations. So one of them might be tracking a recurring pattern, like rush hour traffic every single day for the past 100 years. Another one might be focused on a single neighborhood, just gathering data across its entire existence. Imagine the insights you could get from that. So, this is all just incredible data, but how would you actually use it? How do you interact with it? Well, this is where the user interface comes in, and where you get to step into the role of the maps operator.
Forget a mouse and keyboard. You'd be interacting with this thing through holographic displays, heads-up displays, or HUDs projected all around the tesseract. These are your tools for literally reaching in and pulling out the stories hidden in the data. One of the first things you might pull up is something called a world line. It's basically a breadcrumb trail through time. It shows you the unique path any person or object carves through space-time. You could trace it back to see where it's been, and even project where it might be going.
Another super powerful tool would be isochrones. Now this is really cool. These don't measure distance in miles or kilometers. They measure distance in time. An isochrone map can show you, from this spot, here's everyone you can get to in 15 minutes. This would completely change how a city plans for emergencies, or where a business decides to build.
And of course, you'd need the ultimate control, a way to actually navigate through time. That's where temporal sliders come in. Just like scrubbing through a video timeline, you could use a simple gesture to rewind the entire map to witness a historic moment or fast forward to simulate a future plan.
You know, interacting with a map like this does more than just show you cool data. It fundamentally changes how you think about one of the most basic concepts we have, distance.
Just let this quote sink in for a second. Proximity is defined by how long it takes to get somewhere, not just how many miles away it is. Seriously, think about that. Your office might be 10 miles away, but if it takes an hour to get there in traffic,
Is it really closer than a friend's house that's 20 miles away but only a 15-minute train ride?
And that is the core idea, the big aha moment of a four-dimensional map. The truest, most honest measure of distance isn't miles, it's minutes and hours. In this reality, space isn't fixed, it's fluid. It's constantly being warped and reshaped by time.
So what does this all add up to? I mean, we're talking about so much more than a futuristic Google Maps here. This is a fundamentally new way to understand reality itself. A world where history isn't just a story you read in a book, but a landscape you can actually explore.
Which brings me to one last thought to leave you with. If you had this technology right now, if you could see the entire history of your city laid out in front of you on one interactive map, what's the first thing you'd look for? The ripple effects of one small decision? The secret history of your own street? The possibilities, well, they're as endless as time itself.